All right, so the high-stakes meeting of US President Donald Trump and Chinese leader Xi Jinping began a short while back in Busan, the first face-to-face encounter since 2019. And you can see in the visuals, they are shaking hands. Donald Trump and Xi Jinping. After shaking hands for news cameras, Trump and Xi kicked off their bilateral meeting. In brief remarks before they entered the meeting place, Trump said he expects a very successful meeting with Xi Jinping, adding that both sides have always had a good relationship. Xi, in response, said it was great to see Donald Trump. Take a listen. All right, the two leaders last met in person was in 2019 during the G20 summit in Osaka, Japan. So, big high-stakes meeting between US President Donald Trump and Chinese leader Xi Jinping. They are meeting in South Korea's Busan. And Xi Jinping says US and China should be partners and friends. And Trump says that trade deal could be signed today. So, big meeting taking place between US President Donald Trump and Chinese leader Xi Jinping. It began a short while back in Busan and the first face-to-face encounter since 2019. And after shaking hands for the cameras, Trump and Xi kicked off their bilateral meeting. In brief remarks before they entered the meeting place, Trump said he expects a very successful meeting, with Xi adding that both sides have always had a good relationship. And Xi Jinping, in response, said it was great to see Donald Trump. And the two leaders last met in person was in 2019 during the G20 summit in Osaka, Japan. And let's listen in to what both the leaders said.
It's a great honor to be with a friend of mine, really for a long time now, if you think about it. The very, very distinguished and respected President of China. And we will be having some discussions. I think we've already agreed to a lot of things, and we'll agree to some more right now. But President Xi is a great leader of a great country, and I think we're going to have a fantastic relationship for a long period of time, and it's an honor to have you with us. Thank you very much.
President Trump, it is a great pleasure for me as well to meet you. And it feels very warm seeing you again because it's been many years. Since your re-election, we have spoken on the phone 3 times, exchanged several letters, and stayed in close contact. And our joint guidance, China-US relations have remained stable on the whole. Given our different national conditions, we do not always see eye to eye with each other. And it is normal for the two leading economies of the world to have frictions now and then. And in the face of winds, waves, and challenges, you and I, at the helm of China-US relations, should stay the right course and ensure the steady sailing forward of the giant ship of China-US relations. I always believe that China's development goes hand in hand with your vision to make America great again. Over the years, I have stated in public many times that China and the United States should be partners and friends. This is what history has taught us and what reality demands. A few days ago, in the latest round of consultation, our two economic and trade teams reached basic consensus on addressing our respective major concerns and made encouraging progress. This provided the necessary conditions for our meeting today. Mr. President, I am ready to continue working with you to build a solid foundation for China-US relations and create a sound atmosphere for the development of both countries. Mr. President, you care a lot about world peace, and you are very enthusiastic about settling various regional hotspot issues. I appreciate your great contribution to the recent conclusion of the Gaza ceasefire agreement. During your visit to Malaysia, you witnessed the signing of the Joint Declaration on Peace along the Cambodia-Thailand border, to which you had provided input. China has been helping in our own way Cambodia and Thailand properly settle their border disputes, and we have also been promoting peace talks to resolve other hotspot issues. The world today is confronted with many tough problems. China and the U.S. can jointly shoulder our responsibility as major countries and work together to accomplish more great and concrete things for the good of our two countries and the whole world.
All right, so high stakes meeting between US President Donald Trump and Chinese leader Xi Jinping is underway. And Xi Jinping has said that we do not always see eye to eye to each other. And it is normal for the two leading economies of the world to have friction now and again. For more on this, DD India's Ravi Dhiman joins us on the phone line. Ravi, Trump has said China and the US should be partners and friends. And Xi Jinping said that given our different national conditions, we do not always see eye to eye. And it is normal for the two leading economies of the world to have friction now and again. Tell us, what is the latest that you are picking up as the high-stakes meeting is underway in Busan?
Well, Abhishek, if you see the language both the leaders have used for addressing each other and starting the conversation, the language is very candid, more so by Xi. He's been very candid and straightforward in telling President Trump that there have been frictions, and it's normal for the two leading economies of the world to have frictions, and that's a natural instinct of the leaders. And he's also been candid by saying that we do not always see eye to eye with each other, and that's perfectly normal. And at the same time, given these circumstances, she has sought to steer the course for the future for these two big economies, saying that they should stay the right course. And he has, linked China's development with the vision of Trump for making America, the MAGA vision, making America great again, in the sense that he's also, sought to take care of the feelings of Trump, take care of his domestic constituency, in mentioning the vision of making America great again in his opening remarks. And that tells you a lot about, the way these two leaders want to steer this meeting. They want to have tangible results at the end of the meeting. They really want to have a trade deal at the end of the meeting. And both have given enough, signals that they will be ready. They've already, decided to have something tangible coming out of this meeting. She also told Trump that basic consensus of the trade deal have been reached, as was evident in the past few days when the officials of both the countries, slogged it out to have basic consensus for these two. That eventually paved way for today's meeting. And she has also touched upon some issues which are really very dear to President Trump, like his yearning for being recognized, that he is working towards peace and peace in various parts of the world. She also mentioned the Gaza peace accord, which Trump helped broker between Israel and Hamas. So she has been more forthcoming in this opening remarks. As far as Trump's remarks are concerned, we can see that he just heaped praises on Xi and his leadership, and he's very optimistic about the meeting and its outcome. So it remains to be seen what really the outcome of the meeting will be. But going by the opening remarks, it seems that the two leaders have already made up their mind, and barring some minor hiccups, something tangible and positive for both the economies might come out from the meeting.
All right, Ravi, thank you for the time being. But yes, we'll keep taking updates from you. Akshay Dongre, DD India correspondent, is also with us, and we are also joined by Professor Anshu Joshi. Professor Joshi, appreciate you giving us your precious time. Good morning, Akshay. Akshay, a high-stakes meeting between Xi Jinping and Donald Trump. It is underway. And major issue remains export controls on rare earths announced by Beijing. And we were talking about the language also. I mean, we just heard the statements that they made. What are the other key issues expected to come up in Busan today, Akshay?
Well, it would be quite difficult to predict the issues that are going to come up. However, Abhishek, there are certain things that are there, certain realities of ties between US and China in this present world. Both are the top economies. Both are great militaries. Both want dominance in their respective regions. But China is also looking at expanding its influence around the world. US, its influence is receding, and many of it is because of China. So that remains a challenge, and that remains a friction point as well. But looking at the language as well, Abhishek, you can see the kind of languages that have been used by the two leaders. And while the language has been quite candid, as Ravi has been mentioning, and quite frankly, he has spoken about the issues and the challenges as well between the two countries. The language is exactly the opposite of Donald Trump, where he keeps on praising, heaping praises on the leaders. That is his way of communication, perhaps, but doesn't get much tangible outcomes. Ignoring the problems and just keeping on, heaping praises on the leaders, expecting a trade deal to just happen. Similar thing he has been trying with other leaders as well. And when it comes to China, it does realize that the stakes are, quite high as far as these tariffs are concerned, rare earth minerals, because China is the only economy that is standing up to the US, and US does realize this. One of the issue that will remain a friction point is obviously Taiwan, because before leaving for South Korea, when Trump was asked, what about Taiwan? His response was that what about it? Taiwan is Taiwan, which means that the status quo remains as far as the US position is concerned on Taiwan. That is going to be one of the major friction points. Then while, the meeting went well, the two leaders met. It was the bilateral meeting. It was always expected to go well. But what remains to be seen is that how the talks that are taking place in Busan are going to be implemented into action. One is tariffs. That is a key point. Second is rare earth minerals. So when all of the meeting, when the meeting and then the talks are getting implemented on the ground, it will be the biggest challenge to see how the critical issues that still remain between the two top economies, how will they solve that? And given the nature of Donald Trump and the kind of usage of tariffs he has been doing in quite an irrational manner, how is China going to respond? And after meeting in Busan, whether that will die down or that will continue, at every minor inconvenience, Donald Trump raising tariffs and announcing massive, impractical tariffs on other countries. So it all remains to be seen, but the meeting went well. It is good news for the global economy if the two top economies get along well and they can do business together. But beyond the optics, it is quite a difficult thing to be implemented on the ground, given the fact that the stakes are equally high for both the countries, and there is only one global economy to be captured that both the countries want their hegemony, or rather monopoly, to remain in.
Yes, Akshay, stay with us. We'll come back to you, but let's talk about what has happened so far. The meeting is underway, and Trump and Xi Jinping, they greeted each other and they shook hands. Trump said she was a very tough negotiator, and that's not good. And in the comment to reporters in Busan before the meeting got underway, the US president also said that we have a great relationship, quote unquote, and asked if he planned to sign a trade deal. Trump said could be, and the Chinese president didn't make any comments. But yes, when they started the meeting, Chinese president in fact said that given our different national conditions, we do not always see eye to eye, and it is normal for two leading economies of the world to have friction now and again. And Donald Trump also went on to say that very tough negotiator Xi Jinping is, and that's not good. Professor Joshi, first of all, we'll talk about how crucial is this meeting, and we'll talk about the timing also. But first of all, what do you make of the language of both the leaders here when they are meeting in Busan?
Well, we all know that both Xi Jinping and Trump are known for their own styles while negotiating with different countries. And while we know that, as Trump also has stated, that Xi is a very tough negotiator, and Xi actually carries volumes in whatever he says in a very limited period of time, or like through very limited content. On the other hand, Trump is known for his own style and the way he just speaks his heart out. We know that what kind of statements he has been making for other countries and leaders as well, including Xi. However, we have seen that amid this continuous frictious phase between the two nations, wherein China curbed much needed critical minerals for the United States of America, which it sends to United States of America, and in retaliation, we saw that how Trump imposed additional 100% tariffs on Chinese goods, and Trump also alleged China of smuggling this fentanyl into the US through Venezuela. So there were a lot of critical issues. Amid all that, Trump's meeting with Xi now can be seen as like a ray of hope, as in at the end of the day, the global economy might suffer heavily if at all this friction continues, Abhishek. And that is why this meeting is very important, and the timing of this meeting is also very significant. So the leaders are expected to discuss a lot of critical issues ranging from the tariffs imposed by United States of America on China, the critical minerals that China has stopped or curbed what it used to send to United States of America. And on the other hand, US also expects China to continue buying soya bean from United States of America. Then there is an issue related to Taiwan also, though we know that officially United States of America follows one China policy, but on the other hand, on grounds we have seen that how it supports Taiwan. So she knows that Trump is in some, I would not use the word trouble, but in like tough times, wherein we know that because of imposing hefty tariffs on other countries like India, how the American companies are struggling at the moment to continue with their economic growth, Abhishek. So there
Scott
is a challenge
has
for
also spoken about it. Professor, will come back to you. But this is the latest that Chinese stocks also eased from 10-year peak. But Akshay, also briefly tell us, what does Trump-Xi meet mean for India?
Well, for India, obviously, India is quite keenly and actively monitoring the statements that are coming out, especially the way China is dealing with the US and the way languages are changing, with the way issues are coming up. India is also a major economy in the world. US has been quite keen on doing business with India as well. And, it's like China, it has been, US has been unilaterally imposing a different kind of tariffs on for different reasons, as it claims on the Indian economy as well. So the way this entire meeting is taking place will also have a ramification on the global economy. So from that point of view, India is obviously monitoring the meeting and how the issue of tariffs and the issue of other bilateral issues are getting resolved in Busan, if at all they are. And if they don't get, so we know, what can go wrong and what. So it can be a learning curve for India as well. Seeing this meeting taking place, China is an immediate neighbor. We're having, we have a good relation with the US, and with China as well, the ties are improving. It can be a major point major point for the global economy, given the fact that India, China, and US, if they can get along and if they can make a sort of a economic golden triangle, it can be great for all the economies of the world, but also for the global trade, global economy in general. So there are several other issues, but on the issues of Taiwan, India is monitoring this meeting. On the issue of tariffs, on the issue of rare earth minerals, on the issue of manufacturing, trade, and other kind of friction points that are there. While it does not have a direct ramification for India, but the kind of meeting is taking place, and the things that are at stake, the ramifications are as high as they can for the entire world.
All right, Akshay, thank you for the timing, but yes, we'll keep taking updates from you. Professor Joshi, same reaction from you also. From India's standpoint, how significant you think this meeting is between Donald Trump and Xi Jinping?
Abhishek, India at the moment is keeping a close watch and monitoring the whole meeting. And from India's perspective, we have seen in past couple of months that how India has realigned with these countries according to its national priorities, and that is what we have clarified time and again. Our Honorable Prime Minister and our External Affairs Minister keep stating that India takes all the decisions and aligns and realigns with countries depending on its national interests and the situation around. So India also hopes that there should be positive outcomes of this meeting, as in to stabilize what is happening in global politics at the moment. The market is also watching this meeting very closely because a lot of sentiments from the market and economy are also involved here, touching upon Indian market also, Indian economy also. And at the same time, it would be good to see the relationship stabilizing between the countries, impacting economy at the global level and ensuring global peace and security also. And this will also stabilize global supply chains if positive outcomes come, Abhishek. So let's see what comes out of the bag first and foremost.
And Professor Joshi, also, I mean, since we are talking about India also, let's talk about other countries also. Leaders across the globe would also be watching it very keenly. How significant, we were talking about this earlier also, how significant you think is the timing of this meeting between both of them?
Abhishek, as we can see that Russia-Ukraine war is still on, it could not be stopped. On the other hand, we have seen that the first phase of ceasefire is very much on between Israel and Hamas, though there are question marks on the second phase, but let's at least welcome this first phase of ceasefire, and that's where we have seen that how all these leaders, including Xi, have congratulated Trump for like mediating to announce this ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. On the other hand, we also keep seeing issues emerging in Indo-Pacific region, and economically we know that countries including China and United States of America are going through a tough phase on their domestic front. So we do see a turmoil across the globe, and amid this entire situation, the timing of this meeting on the sidelines of this Asia Pacific Economic Summit, which works on three important economic pillars or objectives, it's good to see that this meeting is happening, and to stabilize, as I said, the global supply chains, and to resolve issues related to tariff and the exports between India and United States of America and China on this critical minerals, on the issue of fentanyl, wherein countries of Latin America are also involved, like Venezuela and Mexico. So there is an issue of narco-terrorism associated here, Abhishek, and TikTok operations in United States of America, and of course issues related to Taiwan. So issues are also critical. Timing is also important, and what is happening around us is also very important at the moment, Abhishek.
Also, Professor Joshi, I mean, let's talk about the stocks. I mean, Chinese stocks is from 10-year peak. Asian stocks also are fluctuating up and down. What are markets and business groups watching most closely as this meeting takes place?
Abhishek, that's a very good question, and the markets are reacting positively at the moment, as I could see from different numbers, although I am not an economist, but from various news reports we can make out that markets are reacting positively across the world to this meeting, and the analysts do see that if even if a modest agreement comes out of this meeting, it could stabilize the economic issues and economic instability. It could also stabilize and make global supply chains better, and of course the commodity prices, which are shaken at the moment because of this additional 100% tariffs that have been imposed on China. And but at the same time, the experts, the economists, what I have read, they also have kind of cautioned against making out too much of conclusions or like with optimism out of this meeting. So unless and until the tangible outcomes come out, unless and until we see the finalized final document of what were the outcomes of this meeting, we can't say much. We can only speculate. But however, short-term stabilization is a phrase with which I can conclude my address or my thoughts, which can be seen after this meeting.
Professor Joshi, if we talk about the holistic view, if we talk about the larger view, how do today's discussions fit into the larger context of global trade and supply chains?
Abhishek, we have seen that post-COVID-19, the supply chains disrupted.
Yeah.
And after that, if COVID-19 was not enough, Russia-Ukraine war started. And if Russia-Ukraine war was not enough, we saw another conflictual situation in West Asian region, wherein there are different choke points also, and which are like critical for global supplies point of view, especially related to oil and gas products. We saw this entire Israel-Hamas issue cropping up, and other countries also slowly started getting involved into the whole situation. So that is why, because of this present turmoil in global politics and in different parts of the world, definitely there is a disruption in supply chains, and this has also impacted commodity prices in different countries. This has also resulted in inflation and other economic issues for different countries of different parts of the world. So this meeting, if at all, results in with positive outcomes, at least it will be kind of it will be good to see that at least one, on one turf, one tiff has been resolved between China and United States of America, though for like a very short period of time, because we have seen that when we talk about US-China relations, it's like a switch. So it's on and off time and again. So at the moment, after observing a whole phase of friction between the two nations, wherein both the leaders also reacted offensively for each other, and there were like negative statements for each other. Now we see that both Trump and Xi are praising each other. So let's see what comes out of this meeting. Only then we will be able to, take a moment to analyze that what are the declarations and tangible outcomes, particularly. And then we can analyze the whole situation.
Absolutely. The meeting between Donald Trump and Xi Jinping is still underway. We're calling it a high-stakes meeting. What's in store? We'll talk about it, and we'll keep getting you updates on this. Professor Joshi, thank you for your insights. Thank you for the time being.